Right then, guys, welcome back into the Spooky Shed, your go-to place for conversations around all things weird, scary, and of course spooky. Anyone on the YouTube channel watching will see that I now have a ring on my finger because I got married last Thursday, and this is the first time I've been in here for 2 weeks, so hopefully I remember what the hell I'm doing. But I've got a guest with me tonight, returning to the shed. So I've got Alex Finlayson of Rock Zombie at the time, but we're going to talk about his new book to start this episode off with. So, Alex, welcome back into the shed.
Thank you very much, mate. Great to be back, and congratulations on getting hitched.
Thank you very much. Like I just said before we started, it was definitely an experience, and hopefully it lasts, but if it doesn't, I'm not doing it again.
It will last. Of course it'll last.
Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. But yeah, right then. So, obviously last time I started off the episode by asking you to leave something in the shed, which, if I remember rightly, was a PS5.
It was.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So
what was it? I said, like, because A, I love it, and B, I could do with less distractions, so I actually do some work.
Yeah, and you also referenced Shaun of the Dead.
That's right. Yeah. But since then, Silk Song's come out, so I haven't done any work, so I've been playing Silk Song non-stop because I both love it and hate it. So can I put that in the shed?
Well, I wasn't going to ask you to put something in the shed this time, but you can do it if you want while you're here. You can leave it here if you want.
I need to get rid of it. It's doing my head in.
Sorry, I've just bought one of them little Game Boy emulator things off bloody TikTok shop for like 30 quid, and I've just been playing Pokemon Yellow for days.
Brilliant.
What I was going to ask you is, because I know you are also a Lego fan, and I very famously have my Lego collection in the shed, so I wanted to ask you, what's your favourite Lego set that you have?
That's an easy one. That's the Lego Barad-dûr from Lord of the Rings. It's by far the biggest set I've had. It's ridiculous. It's over the top. It's too big. It's too expensive. I can't afford it. I shouldn't have bought it. I should have,
That's the beauty of Lego.
Yeah, bought food or something for my children. But my wife said a while back, if I earn the money from writing, I can get whatever Lego set I want. And I had a good quarter just after Christmas, so I treated myself to Lego Barad-dûr, and it's massive, and I've dropped it twice.
Oh, shit, no.
Don't try and move it. If anyone builds that set, don't try and move it. No matter how careful you are.
Imagine the fun I have. For some reason, I build mine in the house and then bring them in here.
No, it's the wrong way around.
Yeah, I know.
Build where it's going to live.
Especially when I've just got for Christmas. Was it Christmas? Or my birthday? No, it was my birthday. The now wife, that feels weird saying that for the first time. She bought me the bloody mini Diagon Alley set. All those pieces in. It's cool as fuck and it looks class, but it was an absolute bastard to do.
Yeah.
It was class at the same time. I want the Titanic one, me.
That's huge though, isn't it?
Just because it's like that and the Eiffel Tower, just because they're too big, they're unnecessary. But that's why I want them.
I'm steering clear of Star Wars Lego because there's that much of it, and it's so good that it'll be like crack. If I start on Star Wars Lego, I'll never come back. Yeah.
Well, most of mine are Harry Potter, but I have got one that, judging what was in the background last time we done this, you will appreciate. So give me a second. This is weird because it's made with official Lego pieces, but it's not actually an official Lego set. So this bloke...
It's Lego.
Yeah, but it's like I say, it's made with real Lego bits. It's weird. So he obviously must just have loads of Lego, and then he makes and sells these sets.
Oh, look at that.
It's cool as hell. But there's a bit of a scale for it. So,
that's very cool. I like that.
Yeah. The missus' man bought me that for Christmas, and then I Googled it afterwards. £90 for that.
Jesus.
Yeah,
I tell you what's good fun. So the missus bought me a little Lego Creators bunny with a carrot, and I was like, thanks. Didn't quite understand why she got me it, and then she'd found these instructions. You can make a face hugger from Aliens from it. So nice. It just turns into a proper little face hugger. It's fantastic. So it's in the other room where my drunk friend is currently asleep, so I can't show you that.
Fair dues. Right, so this obviously isn't a Lego podcast, sadly, so we shall move on.
Lego all day.
Same. Right then, so new book, mate.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell us about it.
So it's called The Saint and The Shadowman, and it's the third in the series. It's called the Arthur Crazy series. Crazy is actually a legitimate Yorkshire surname. It comes from Gilling West near Richmond, apparently. So the very first book was called The Book and the Blade. That's the one I think I mentioned last time, where I was a student in York, came up with the idea. Just imagine being so drunk in the city, you saw all these ghosts, and but you didn't know because you were drunk. So I wrote that one, The Book and the Blade, and that was the first one I ever got published, and I got it signed on a 4-book deal with an American publisher called Parliament House Press. And there was only ever going to be one book, but it was one of those situations where the main character Arthur went through all this shit, and I wanted to know what happened afterwards. I think I've always been like that. I just wanted to know what happens at the end of the movie or the end of the book. So there was a sequel called The Sword and the Hounds, where he goes home essentially he goes home to his mum and dad because everything's gone Pete Tong at the end of the first book. So he tries to recover, goes home to his mum and dad where they live at Richmond near the castle. That goes all wrong. There's werewolves and witches and all sorts of bollocks. And then this third book is him going back to York to try and pick up the pieces of his life. By now he's got magic abilities, he can talk to dead people, and he's got a talking dog.
Nice.
It's just him trying to get on with his life with that combination of his reality, if you will.
No, I definitely like the sound of it. I'm definitely going to have to read them ones because, like I mentioned to you the other day, I finally finished reading Rock Zombie. Fucking loved it.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, no, it was class. And I always think I sound stupid when I say this because I've said it to the missus a few times, like when I've been reading bits, and I'll just start laughing, and like it's because I can see it in my head, but because obviously it's set like where I live now, obviously where you're from originally, so it was really weird. But I think I'll enjoy them ones in the same way because I've been to York that much. I could go around York with my eyes shut. So that's why I'm looking forward to reading them ones next. I must admit.
Well, that's it. You guys did a podcast on the ghosts in York. I remember messaging you on Instagram or whatever it was, sort of saying, yeah, well, the stuff that you said matches with the stuff that I've written in my book. So well done. We're on the same page there. I like that.
Yeah. Because if I remember rightly, you told me the first one, The Book and the Blade, the title for that, you and your mates came up with that when you were pissed and just, was it you found a piece of paper and someone had wrote that on it?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of titles after that. And then the lad, who was at the publisher called Mike Feeney, who's since left, which is a shame because he's the one who signed me. He's a legend. He said, like, keep consistent sort of tone with your titles. So because the first one was The Book and the Blade, make sure the next ones are There's Something and There's Something, There's Something and There's Something. Right. Keep that consistent. But I've completely blown that rule out of the water for the fourth one because the fourth one's set in Whitby.
Nice.
And it's called I Draw the Line at Vampires, but there's a missing sort of asterisked word between the four vampires. So it's actually called I Draw the Line at Fucking Vampires, which has a little innuendo in there. All bleeding vampires if you want to be all Yorkshire about it. So you can sort of make up your own mind. Guess what that one's about?
Werewolves.
There is actually one in it.
Fair enough. No, well, again, definitely going to be intrigued by that. And as soon as you said Whitby, I was actually going to ask you, is the vampires involved then?
Yes. Yeah.
Has to be. Yeah. Well, that's answered my next question as well because I was going to say, is this the last one? But obviously not.
Yeah, there was only ever going to be one, but now there's four. And it always happens because I keep wanting to know what's going on next. I've got to be careful with spoilers, but obviously it's been out a while now, Saint and The Shadowman. It's been out a couple of months. And it ends in a very similar way to a very favourite childhood movie. Which begs the question, like, what the hell happens next? Massive cliffhanger. And I was just going to leave it like that. I was just going to have this trilogy of it just ending on that huge literal cliffhanger. You might be able to guess which one I'm talking about.
The only thing I can think is The Italian Job.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Get in.
But after I did it, I was like, no, I need to know how he gets out of that situation because I remember watching that with my dad when I was a kid. It's one of my favorite movies. But I remember the first time I watched it going, what? No, that can't be right. I need to know what happens next. And my dad just laughing and going, nope, you never find out.
Literally exactly the same.
Yeah. So I had to, in the end, because I'm such a nosy bastard, I had to go back and find out what happened to these characters.
Well, this will probably sound mental, but obviously you are on the other side of the world. Have you ever watched that Sky series, Brassic?
No, I haven't. No, I've heard of it, but I've not seen it.
Yeah, well, the series has just finished. I'll say just finished. It was like last year now. That's literally how it ended. Literally them in a bus, loads of money at one end on the edge of a cliff. So
brilliant.
Like then on the very last episode, the missus is like, oh, I can't wait for the next one. I'm like, there isn't going to be one. But there is. So thankfully we actually get to find out what happens on that. Looking forward to that.
I will say there is no bus, no gold, and no cliff on mine. It's still worth a read. I haven't just completely spoiled it.
Fair enough. Right, I just remembered just before we started this that this is going to be the first episode of October, so will be officially spooky season, even though it already is in my house because I've already started putting decorations up.
Brilliant.
So always in October. Well, what I done last year was I always like to ask a couple of questions about Halloween. Obviously, you grew up back here in Redcar where I am, so and you're a little bit older than me. So what was Halloween like for you as a kid? Because obviously over here it's getting bigger and bigger, and what's it like over there?
So 80s, you're talking. I was born in 82, so my early Halloweens in the 80s, early 90s, and it was your stock standard. Me and my sister got witches' fingers from the corner shop. There was that joke shop near the Regent Cinema that sold like proper
Yes.
old school British seaside tat. So we
Yeah.
got witches' fingers, vampire teeth with fake blood capsules. God knows what was in them, but we all survived. So a witch's hat. So I don't know why we had vampire teeth, but we had vampire teeth, witches' fingers, and witches' hats, and a bin bag.
Yes, I had the bin bag.
Yeah, and pretty much all we
Mm.
did, I think this is all we did. If I get this wrong, Mum will let me know very quick. We used to just drive to our grandparents. So Grandma lived in Newmask, so we'd go to her house, knock on the door and shout trick or treat. And then Nana and Grandad and Uncle Mike lived up in Dunsdale. So these are, for people who don't know, little towns, villages just outside Redcar. And that was it. That's pretty much all we did. Corner shop at Rosebery Square used to sell like toffee apples and stuff like that. It wasn't particularly big back then. We used to do the trick-or-treating, but Mum and Dad were never particularly keen on us just wandering around the streets, essentially begging for money.
Yeah.
But we did anyway when we got a bit older.
Yeah. So you're 10 years older than me then. So when I started doing all that, I think that was when it just started to become more of a thing, and more kids were actually just going to like random houses and stuff. Like I remember last Halloween, I got to the point where I didn't even bother sitting back down. I just stood behind the door waiting for the little bastards.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Because now it's
Are
just
people
constant.
still carving fucking turnips in Redcar?
Some do. I mean,
I don't know why we carved turnips. That shit took forever.
Well,
Like,
that's what I mean.
get a pumpkin, Mum.
Yeah, exactly. But the only thing is, like, because we always used to stick a candle in them and carry them around, and I don't know why I used to like the smell of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah.
What was it in Australia? So Australia's weird. A lot of people will be like, this is Australia, we don't do Halloween here, but it's getting huge. When my kids were little, we lived in a place in central Queensland called Emerald, and I had what can be described as an American Halloween, where one particular housing estate went all out. And it was like you see on American movies. I've never seen anything like it. It was amazing. Houses fully decked up, people just walking down the middle of the street. Police had closed off like car access because people were just thoroughly enjoying it. It was beautiful. I dressed up as a witch that year, actually. Wore a little black dress. I got more attention that year than I've ever had in my life. Well, there you go.
Fair play. Well,
Yeah.
that's funny because I was going to finish off on the Halloween stuff by asking you then. So when you got older, like teenage years, did you ever go to like Halloween parties and stuff? And have you got any funny stories around? Because I've got one. It's I didn't dress up as a witch, but it's similar about getting attention. So
No, mate, I was so in my teenage years. I became a bit of a Charlie Church because in Redcar you either went to the church youth group or you did drugs in the graveyard or at the beach park. And I wasn't quite there yet. So I skipped out the whole sort of mid to late teen Halloween stuff. Went back to it at uni because, of course, when you're at uni, everyone, like all the lasses, the stereotypes is true. They just wear black underwear and say, I'm a sexy cat. You're like, oh, okay, whatever. Go for your life, love. Go on, let's hear your story because I don't have a good one.
Fair enough. I told this one last year because it's the only good one I've got. So I used to work at the ship in Mask, and we had a Halloween party in there one year. This was when, how old would I have been? Like 22, 23 maybe. I dressed up as a zombie, standard, and for some reason, as the music was on and everything, obviously got more and more pissed. Can't remember what song it was, but for some reason I decided to do a slut drop. Don't ask. And ripped my jeans from ass to ankle. Literally. And then we decided we were going to go out in Borough afterwards. Thought, we'll go to Empire. Terrible idea.
Oh, Jesus.
Exactly. And so naturally, I had to go home and change my jeans, put a different pair of jeans on. Then got halfway to Borough, realised I'd left my wallet in my ripped jeans. So then we had to go back. So then we had to pay like fucking 3 times as much for a taxi because the driver was a dick. And then weirdly got some attention that night and went home, but not my home. And then I had to get a taxi home from Borough on the next morning, hungover to shit. Dressed as a zombie.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That'll do it. And let's be
weird.
honest, if it was an early morning bus ride from Middlesbrough and night after a night out, you wouldn't have been the only zombie on the bus anyway. Like,
No, well, that's
Would
what
have been a few.
that's what I mean. Because I was in Borough, I didn't feel too bad because I was like, I'm not going to look too out of place. But yeah,
No, not many stories like
right
that at
then.
my
So
end.
we're gonna, yeah, fair play, fair play. Right then, so we're going to talk about some experiences you had when you lived in York.
Yeah. Well, the whole premise that kicked off the Book and the Blade was, all right, it started with alcohol. I was trying to weave my way home through what is essentially apparently Europe's most haunted city, thinking, Christ, you could bump into anything here. But I haven't had that many actual experiences that I could chalk up to being mysterious or supernatural or anything like that. I've just got an overactive imagination. But in The Book and the Blade, I reference a place called Judge's Lodgings Hotel, which is where I used to work. And I set the sort of genesis of the Lost Boys myth. So Lost Boys appear in a lot of cities. Essentially, it's a ghost of a child, usually a bedraggled looking orphan. And I have one in The Book and the Blade, but I made him like a fresh ghost. I gave him a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles t-shirt. So he, like, poor kid died in the 90s, that sort of thing. But when I worked at the Judge's Lodgings, there was one moment where, and bearing in mind at the time, I was the barman, but I used to help out doing the night porter shift if the night porter didn't turn up for whatever reason, because it was double pay and you could help yourself to whatever was in the kitchen. So you'd be there while the guests come in and you'd leave at about 6 o'clock in the morning. And I used to go downstairs into the bar, grab a drink and make myself a sandwich and go back up to the reception. And this one time I was in the bar and someone walked past the hatch. Saw it clear as day, peripheral vision, looked around, and it's a city centre, so I was like, some dickhead guest has decided to come downstairs and help themselves to a beer. So I was like, oi! And I turned around the corner and I saw from the waist down the legs of this person go up the stairs towards the hotel. And I was like, excuse me. I went running after them. And I was about 5 or 6 steps behind when they turned the corner at the top. And then I ran up, turned the corner myself, and there was no one there. And I know what the general consensus of someone listening to this would be, well, it is a drunk guest. They're just hiding from you behind a fucking plant pot or something. But when you go up those steps and you turn right, the corridor is a really long corridor with no doors in it and nowhere to hide. And as I turned that corner, I was 5 or 6 steps behind them. There was literally nowhere for them to hide, nowhere they could get to the end without me unless they were fucking Usain Bolt. And I would have heard them run, but didn't hear footsteps. I saw them clear as day, and then they just vanished. And it scared the shit out of me. And then I told American tourists that story non-stop for the next year and got the best tips. They just lapped it up. Yeah.
I always like it when a story gives me goosebumps, and it's not even just because it's cold in here.
Yeah, nice. That's a good barometer of whether you could tell me like a well-written, scary story, and if I don't get goosebumps, I'm like, all right, it's well-written, good on you. But when someone tells me a story and I think it's legit, I think the goosebumps are a marker of that, how legit it is. Yeah, I don't know why. We just tapped into something, I think.
No, I do, because obviously through doing this is 9 times out of 10 what I'm doing is I'm asking people shit they've experienced and they're telling me. And it doesn't happen every time, but like I say, a lot of times, like you say, I do get goosebumps and I do start to feel a bit weird. And like they're the ones that I'm not saying people have come in here and lied, obviously not. Like I said, the ones when I get goosebumps, they're the ones that make me believe a little bit more, because I famously still have a little bit of skepticism in my head. But
I think skepticism is healthy, though.
Yeah.
We have a famous family story. So my granddad was my hero. I'm pretty sure I mentioned him the first time I came on your podcast, because I've written his account of World War II, but because I'm a coward, I've added werewolves into it and shit like that. Can't particularly write it straight, I don't think. But Grandad died when I was 6, right? And we lived in Micklow Close, in the Closes in Redcar, and they lived in Dunsdale, just up the hill outside the town. And when Dad came home, apparently Dad and his brothers are around the deathbed up at home, and Grandad tells my dad to go home and be with his wife and kids, because everyone knew what was happening. And by the time Dad got down to Redcar, Grandad had gone. And he came into our bedroom to tell me, and my room stunk of cigar smoke. And the windows are closed. There's nowhere. I'm not smoking. I'm 6 years old, crying because my granddad's dying. And my room stunk of cigar smoke. Oh, fucking hell. I'm getting a bit here. And this is a story I've always grown up with. A few years back, bearing in mind, this is like 30 years later now, for almost 40 years later. Because my dad's like a scientist, sort of mathematician, very sort of clinical, logical man. And we had the opportunity to ask him. I was like, did that really happen, Dad? And he kind of just went a bit flushed and was like, yeah, it really happened. There's no doubt about it. And I was like, but you don't believe in that sort of stuff, do you? And he went, I've had two experiences in my life. One was that cigar smoke in your room, excuse me. And the other one was a few months later after Grandad died. He drove up to Dunsdale. And Nana and Grandad lived in one house. 2 doors down was Uncle Mike. And as Dad drove past, he looked through the window and he saw a man in a white T-shirt standing at where the organ was, because Grandad had an old organ. And the dad was like, what the fuck is that? What's going on? Anyway, he comes around the corner and there's no one in the house. And Nana's at Uncle Michael's. And when he went to Uncle Michael's, Uncle Michael and Nana have a glass against the wall in his house because they can hear someone playing the organ 2 doors down and they're both freaking out.
Nah, like,
But
fucking literally.
like my dad telling me, but my dad telling me that story. My dad's like a mathematician. He's a scientist. He fixes cars. He doesn't believe in the supernatural. And yeah, I had the opportunity to ask him in these 2 stories. He was like, yeah, they're legitimate. And they're like, like that. Yeah, hard to explain, man. It could be a total coincidence, but the goosebumps on the back of my neck right now probably tell me that something legit's going on there that I don't understand.
No, definitely something there. Mainly because that's funny because now the second person in about the last 4 episodes that I've done that have told me that they've smelt like cigar smoke in the bedroom. So there's obviously, I mean, like I say, again, could be coincidence, but there's definitely something to that, like people smelling things. I know that sounds weird, but and again, weirdly, I don't know whether like a lot of people have spoken to me about this recently, and it's like because I'd never really heard of it before about smelling smells and stuff. So I don't know. It's very weird to me because it's one of the few things that I haven't experienced yet. So I kind of don't know if I want to.
No. Well, when there's a smell like that in a place where you can't account for it, like why would a 6-year-old have cigar smoke in his room? And it's not even like it could have wafted in from a neighbor or something. It just wasn't possible.
Like you say, especially when you were 6.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
if you were 10,
I did a lot of dumb stuff when I was a kid, but I wasn't smoking cigars when I was 6.
Definitely. Right. So to go back to then, so the ghost that went up the stairs. Well, we'll say ghost that went up the stairs. So you said you were behind it. So could you when you got to the top of the stairs and you went around the corner, could you still see it until you went around the corner?
No, there was an out there. But I was, so it's a weird makeup. So the bar was downstairs, the reception is the next floor, and the stairs went straight up, and then it was a 90-degree turn back around, coming over the top of the bar. Yeah. So I was about 5 steps away when I saw the leg go around the corner. Parrot's walking up. It might be better if I get him out because he'll shut up in a minute. But yeah, when I went around the corner, nothing there. But there was nothing there. Like there was nowhere to hide. The lights are on up there. I could see clear as day down fucking Stephen King shining corridor. And there was
that's weird. And again, like I like ones like that because to me, like there's no explanation there. To me, there's no way you can, unless it's just your mind playing tricks on you. But like I say, if you're saying you've seen it clear as day, then like you say, where the hell did he, she, it, whatever the hell it is, go?
Yeah,
it's really, really weird.
Because bearing in mind, when I'm downstairs and when I'm running up the stairs, I'm thinking this is just a customer who's taking the piss. But as soon as I got around the corner, the reality of whatever it was I was seeing changed because I would have seen the customer. I would have.
Yeah, exactly.
There was nowhere for them to hide. So, and I know that I saw them because I was chasing them going up. So.
Yeah. So what was your first thought then when you got around that corner? Was it just, shit, what the hell's happening?
Yeah, I genuinely had a moment of panic. And then I went through all the usual stuff. Like I looked back down the stairs, which like where it didn't go past me, dickhead. There wasn't a left turn. It was just a long corridor. So I went bolting down the corridor and that was into like the sort of reception area where the desk is. So I checked behind the desk but even as I did, I knew that someone couldn't have got there in the time it took me to get around the last 5 steps. That was unnerving. I turned all the lights on downstairs after that.
It's weird that, it's weird, isn't it? Because I remember as a kid when you think you're hearing footsteps upstairs and stuff, so you turn all the lights on in the house.
Yeah, so you can see them.
Like that's going to do anything.
Yeah. So you can
I
be
love it.
butchered in bright daylight.
Yeah. So, do you have any other experiences then while you were in York?
Not many, no. Most of them you'd put down to just being drunk and stupid and young.
Yeah.
But I became a little bit obsessed with finding the sort of
Shut up.
finding the hard to reach places, like the sort of hidden little tunnels and snickerways and bits and bobs like that. And I've interspersed them throughout the stories and the books, like random stuff. Like there's a place called Bailey Hill that if you don't know it's there, you'll walk past it. And it's off one of the walls near the river. And it's just an old, the leftover of the Mott and Bailey Castle, but there is a clearing at the top. So it's trees and a clearing, and it's mint. You go in there and just chill out. And we used to go in there with a beer after work and stuff like that, and it'd be completely private. And it was a good laugh. No, as far as actual sort of ghost stories and supernatural experiences, not many at all, just those two really. The rest of it is just all my overactive imagination and reading other people's stories and famous ghost stories and whatnot and making twists on them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. There's a place that's always interested me in York because weirdly somehow I've never actually been there, and this is probably where you're going to tell me you haven't been there either. But I do want to go there next time I go back after obviously our York episode, the Golden Fleece.
Yes, yeah.
Have you been there?
Yeah, I used to drink in there after football. So we'd play football on a Saturday morning, group of lads, and then go into the town and just find a place that was serving dinner, essentially. Because we all worked in bars, so you'd play footy in the morning, then grab something to eat, and then go to work. Golden Fleece is good, canny little place. There was a few famous ghost stories in that one about, I think it was an old landlord upstairs or an old woman upstairs. God, I can't remember. But yeah,
I remember that was
it's
on
very
my
famous little pub,
list.
isn't it?
Yeah. Like I say, that was, I think that was like top of my list when we done our most haunted places in York, because it's supposed to be the most haunted pub in York. Like I said, I've never actually been into it, but I've been past it, and it doesn't look very big.
No, it's not. And they really play into the touristy sort of side now of the ghosts. They've got a skeleton who sits at the bar.
Fair enough.
So this is not written yet, but I've had this plan for ages that there is going to be a fifth Arthur book, and it's going to be like a bottle episode, and it's just going to be Arthur sat in the Golden Fleece.
Nice.
Talking to his mate and just various shit going on. Because upstairs in the Golden Fleece, one of the famous ghosts is the Canadian airman, who is supposed to be a Canadian World War II pilot. And he leans out of the upper floor window shouting at people in the street. And the story is that he fell out of the window, and that's what his ghost does now. It goes back up, falls out, and goes back up and falls out, and loiters around on the upper floor. Well, that World War II story that I mentioned earlier with my granddad, I put the Canadian airman in that. And I have this scene where he says, at the end of the war, we should catch up. And the main character, who's based on my granddad, says, yeah, I'll take you out in York. And so I have all these, like, throughout all my random stories, that there are all these little connections. So one day I'm going to write Arthur Crazy and the Golden Fleece, something like that. I'll give it a better title than that, though.
I don't know. I mean that's not bad. I think you'd have to get Golden Fleece in there somehow.
It sounds a bit Greek mythology, though, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, it does. To be fair, yeah.
Yeah. And there could be something in that,
especially when I just have a sheep outside of it.
yeah.
Weird.
No, it's a good little pub, that one. Yeah, very nice.
That's what always intrigued me, just because I've never been there.
Yeah, there's a few nice ones.
I don't know how.
Shouting at me.
Oh God, birds fire. But yeah. Right. What was I going to say then? That was it. So to go back to your books then and the writing and stuff, because this is something that I realised I didn't ask you before, and something a few authors I've spoke to, for some reason I haven't asked, because it's something that's always intrigued me. So when you get like the idea for a story, do you have to come up with the whole thing before you can start writing it?
No,
like,
not
do you
at
know
all.
how it's going to end?
No. So what you're talking about, so in the writing world, there's people have called it pantser or plotter. So someone who plots the story out every step of the way, or someone who just writes like flying by the seat of their pants and just, hello, mate, and just makes it up as they go along. And I am very much a make it up as I go along guy, even when I have tried to plot it out. So the Book and the Blade, I tried to plot it out because I got a map of York and I pinpointed where these famous ghost stories were, and I worked out where my character was drinking to start with and where he must live that would get him through a route that would interact with as many ghosts as possible. Excuse me. So that one had a semblance of a plot, but purely just directional. But whenever I'm writing, just random shit just happens, which is the magic of it. It's the thing I enjoy the most about it. I end up in a situation where the characters just sort of take over. Like a couple of times I've gone, like, whilst I'm typing, why the hell did you do that? Because then it takes the story in a complete different tangent. And that's my favorite thing about writing, essentially. You're just making it up as you go along. Hello.
Yeah, because like that's what's always, it's always intrigued me, because I always just love writing stories. Like I say, when I was a kid, me and Billy did our little Terrifying Tales series on here that we did for a while, which I really enjoyed, but and sadly it didn't get as many listens as all the other episodes. And well, I don't.
No, I
I'm not
like
sure where
them.
Billy
I
is,
really like
but
them. And I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here, so you can delete it off the podcast if need be. But you sent me a story recently, and it was bloody good, man. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. You've really got something there, so crack on with it.
I appreciate it. But I think the problem is, because I've got the memory of probably a bit of worse memory than that bird behind you. Like, I'll end up like contradicting myself and stuff. Like if I wrote anything of any sort of length, I forget what the hell's happened like 3 chapters ago, and then just do something that like shouldn't happen, sort of thing, and then it'll just ruin it.
And that's one of the reasons why. So if you're interested in writing and that sort of creative process, I completely recommend Stephen King's On Writing. It's part biography, part sort of instruction manual. It's obviously he's the master, so it's a bit intimidating and it's a bit over the top. But one of the things he says, which I absolutely love, is, and it makes perfect sense, is once you start, you've got to get that first draft out as quickly as possible. So many people write a story bit by bit over 10 years or something, like, oh, I'm going to take that out the bottom drawer of my desk and just tweak it. No, you got to get that first draft out. No matter how shit it is, get it done, because then you've got a full story you can work with. And then you just pretend like you knew what you were doing all along when you go back over it. I've lost the thread at the moment. So I was writing a zombie story set in Australia where the whole world has been overridden by zombies except for Australia. I'm about 25,000 words into it, but I had about a 3-month gap before I went back to it. And so when I went back and I read the first, I was like, I'm quite liking this. That bit's good. That bit's good. And then I got to the end and I was like, what the fuck was I doing? I have no idea why I went off on that tangent. And I've had to delete like 4 chapters because I've got no clue what I was thinking about. Can't remember at all. So yeah, you just got to try and get it all out in one big fresh hit if you can. It's
definitely something that I'm going to try and do. How well it'll go on, I don't know. Like I said, I told you my whole idea for it. So again, it was vampire related. 16-year-old lad, wants to hold back the urges of obviously having to fucking kill people and drink blood and stuff, but obviously also being 16, like having the urges to do other things, we'll say.
Yeah.
And deal with that
as well.
Deal with that.
Yeah. The power of being a vampire has got to be tempting, but obviously to tap into that power, you got to be drinking blood. So you have that constant moral situation. Wait, don't bite me, you little shit. Sorry, that'll work well on a podcast, won't it? Don't bite me, you little shit, in the middle of a.
Some of the things that have been said on here before, it's just that doesn't even make the top 10. So.
For people who aren't watching the YouTube, I have a parrot in my hand.
Oh yeah. I said, this is why I don't like birds. They make me uneasy, even through a bloody computer.
He can't get you, mate. He can't peck his way through the screen.
Stupid thing is, we used to have a pet bird when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Well, that thing couldn't fly, so it was all right. It's when they fly, that's what gets me.
Did you have a plan, a schedule, or anything?
No, not really. I was, like I say, it's just what I was writing, I literally wrote it on my phone, like just on my notes on my phone, and I was sort of doing it bit by bit, but I'd sit there for 10 minutes and like do some stuff, and then like I put my phone in my pocket, and then I'd get an idea, and I'd be like, all right, yeah, that bit, and then that bit, and sort of thing. So I don't know. Like I said, the one I sent you, it was sort of just like, I've called it like the first chapter, but it was literally just without giving anything away. It was just it was literally just like the build up to where the actual story starts. Obviously, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Sort of like,
just
setting the scene, as we'll say.
You'll find as you go, though, that the characters will start making decisions that you aren't conscious of, and that's the best bit.
Right.
Your character will just do something because you just suddenly start typing it, and it's really hard to explain. I think most people who haven't written anything
Mm.
assume that it's all up here
Yeah,
and you're
yeah.
just typing it out. But it's not. Some 9 times out of 10, when you're typing or writing on your phone or however you're doing it, you're learning what's happening just as other people. You sort of tap into this weird fucking creativity where, like, one of my books has a character in that I had not planned at all. It just came out of nowhere, just this old man, and all of a sudden he was there. I was like, oh, who's this guy? And he
Mm.
was one of my favorite characters, but it is what it is. That's the great thing about it. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So just got to
Yeah, true.
keep writing, keep going.
Yeah, like it's what I need to do is I need to stop leaving my bloody laptop charger in this fucking shed so I can actually use my laptop in the fucking house. And that, but like, I'm say I'll give it. I'll probably do another chapter and then I don't know. I'll see where it goes from there. And like I say, well, what I might do if you will, I'll probably get you to read that one again, and then if you think it's still any good, then I'll probably try and finish some and see what the hell happens with it.
One of the Stephen King pieces of advice, however, and I'm definitely happy to, love to, but one of the Stephen King pieces of advice is you write the first draft with the door closed. Don't show anyone.
Right.
Just for you. You do it yourself and you just crack on with it. And then open the door on the second draft. And part of his reasoning for saying that is if someone else says something like, oh yeah, this is really good, or that bit didn't work, or have you thought of this, then you're getting influences from outside when that story is yours.
Yeah,
Get it all out. And then open the door to other people once you've done it. But
fair enough.
I've sat around like a dinner table with my wife and kids and gone, right, how do I kill Rudolph? You know, like, how do I kill Blitzen? Like, today's cheerful dinner conversation is how do we murder Santa's reindeer? So it's like one step at a time. My kids have never read my books, but they're like, well, why would we? You talk to us about them all the way through, so we know exactly what's going on.
Oh yeah, fair point.
And also, they're way too dark for kids.
Yeah, I was just going to say. I mean, obviously, I've only read the one so far, but I wouldn't exactly say it was a bedtime story.
No, and I'm certainly not going to read that first chapter to anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scene with the gloves. Yeah, no,
yes,
that doesn't need to be read to anyone ever.
That
was a bet with a friend.
Yeah, that was on like the third page, and straight away I was just like, I'm going to like this. Yeah,
growing up in northeast seaside towns.
Well, I think I messaged you straight away as soon as I'd read that bit, and it was just like fucking brilliant.
What the fuck did I just read?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Oh, well, I have another northeast book on the horizon as well. So I've done my Reindeer Games books, which end in Redcar. Reindeer Games 3 ends with them landing the sleigh using Redcar's vertical pier as a landing guide.
Oh, that's fucking nice.
On the way in, they drop something off the sleigh in Stades, and that's going to lead to an Easter series of stories. The first one's called Egg in Stades, No One Can Hear You Scream, and it's alien movie xenomorphs, but bunnies. So, you know, real ridiculous stuff.
Did you get the idea from that through that Lego?
A little bit, yeah. Actually, I was talking about it before, and my wife was like, I think that's why she bought me it. She's like, I know you're going to do it, so here, have some Lego. Keep you busy while you're thinking about it.
Oh, no, well, that's already intriguing.
All right, well, fingers crossed it's this coming Easter 2026.
Fingers crossed. Right, mate, well, my brain still isn't working, so I think we'll just call it there, mate, because I'm just going to get annoyed with myself.
Good luck editing that one, mate. Some gaps there.
I'm used to it. The amount, well, when me and Billy used to do them together, the amount of shit that we used to take out of that just because of jokes that we made that we definitely couldn't put out to the world.
Yeah, absolutely fair. Well, thanks for having us, mate. I appreciate it. Always good.
No problem.
Always good.
No problem. It's been a pleasure again. Just want to let people know where they can find you, find the books.
Yeah, so I write everything under A.B. Finlayson, and there's a website, abfinlayson.com, and that has all my links to social media and things like that. Books are on Amazon, and some of them are in various bookshops and other places if you don't want to give any money to billionaires, which is cool. And in all honesty, 9 times out of 10, if people just contact me, I can sort you out in somewhere, signed editions or things like that, which goes really well. Yeah, I'm very grateful for anyone reading anything I write, really. It's a good little gig. Never going to make millions out of it, am I? But I'm never going to give up the day job, but it's good fun.
Yeah, well, that's just to end on a bit of a serious thing there, but like that's like for me doing this. Like I've always said, because it was weird. I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts the other day, massive one, and they were saying like how if so many people weren't listening, then they probably wouldn't do it. And I'm just like, which really surprises me because like I've always said, I mean, Christ, we don't get millions or thousands or sometimes don't even get hundreds of people listening to this. But if I have 5 people listening to this, I'll still do it just because I enjoy doing it.
Yep, exactly that. It's a creative outlet, mate. And I think everyone needs some sort of creative outlet, no matter what it is. Even if it's just playing computer games or whatever, everyone needs to do something that they enjoy, that they switch off on, or they can get engrossed in. You've got this podcast and it's bloody brilliant. I write silly little stories about ghosts and reindeers dying and Easter bunnies attacking people. Always going to do it. And whether or not people read it, I'm always going to do it anyway. I feel very grateful and very fortunate when people do read things that I write.
No, like I say, I've only read the one, but I'm gonna definitely read them 3. So I'm looking forward to that. But like I say,
Nice.
I really enjoyed the one that I've read. So like I say, keep doing what you're doing, mate. That's all I can say.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
No problem. Right then, guys, so we shall leave it there for today. So as always, go and follow our Instagram page at the Spooky Shed Podcast. The link is in the bio for all the other socials that we do not use. If you are just listening to this, go over to YouTube, the Spooky Shed Podcast. Make sure you subscribe over there, like, comment, and all that stuff that you do on a YouTube channel. And we shall speak to you next time.
Beautiful.